Thursday. Well, howdy ho, Victoria Taft with you, your adult in the room. And boy, oh boy, we got lots of stuff going on today. Update on the Quality Leering Center, because that's in the news again. Let's see, especially Iran sit-rep, because don't you feel it? There's something going on here. We've got the situation with the going of back and forth between Iran, the IRGC, and the Trump administration. And then all of a sudden, there's supposedly a fight between Bibi and Donald Trump. So, you know, it's all working together. We're going to talk with our friend from the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, and we'll talk with Edmund Fitton Brown coming up in just a little bit. We'll also talk to Rabbi Barclay. Michael Barclay is a podcaster. He's also a guy who is he's a colleague of mine over at PJ Media. So it'll be a pleasure to welcome him to the program for the first time to talk about his thoughts on, you know, sort of what's going on here. And let's see what else. Oh, yes, a DOJ. Best kind. DOJ prosecutor has been indicted. Now, why am I taking glee in it? Because she's the one who's decided that she was going to release she stole some documents. And she was the one who was prosecuting President Trump for allegedly stealing documents, except she wasn't the president, so she didn't have any right to do that. Anyway, so that is delicious irony. And I think that chick might see the inside of a prison cell. That's what I think. Because I know who's prosecuting that case, and it's, you know, Joe DeGenova is nobody's fool. Trust me. So that's going to be very interesting. I'm sure that happened as a result of old Joe being on the old payroll. Yes. Finally, the deep state, somebody gets theirs. I mean, honest to Pete. Let's see. We'll go through the Howard Lutnick deposition today, and also the different charging documents with respect to the DOJ lawyer. Yeah, that's about it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, and I got a special Spencer Pratt update. I think I'm just going to have to end up doing one like every week, because dude is just doing a great job. He raised Karen Bass in the last reporting period. Doesn't mean he's going to win. Just means more people are helping him out. And they believe in him because he's not Karen Bass. And they know something's wrong. And they know the people who are in charge of the city of L.A. are part of it and have encouraged it and allowed space for the dysfunction. So we're talking about that and all sorts of going on. Now, remember, you may not remember. Do you remember the Quality Leering Center?
And now we have a group of Somalis telling us in our vehicle right now.
From this daycare center, we headed over to the infamous Quality Learning Center, which actually spells Quality Leering Center on the outside of their sign. That's how blatant this fraud is here at this daycare.
Don't open up!
So this is quality.
So don't open up! Wackadoodle-doo. Anyway, she's some chick who's decided that she's following Nick Shirley around. That's what she was doing last December. Let's watch what happened.
Leering Center. I meant to say Quality Learning Center.
Don't open
They
up!
said they spelt learning wrong.
Don't open up!
How do you have ice here, ma'am? I'm literally a YouTuber.
Don't open up!
Ma'am, what do you think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
Don't open up! We have ice!
And what do you think about this place being licensed for 99 children
Don't open up!
and getting $4 million
Don't
over
open
the
up! It's ice!
$4 million in the last 2 years?
Go away!
What do you think about that? Are you in
Go
favor?
away!
Are you in favor of that?
Go away!
You know where
You're
they-
not welcome here!
Are you-
Shame on you!
Are you in favor of $1.9
Shame
million
on you!
going
It's ice!
illegally,
Don't open up!
fraudulently to this business that has Quality Learning Center? But
Hold on, I'm coming back to it, but I just have. Doesn't she bear a striking resemblance to my aunt lady, who bears the striking resemblance to the woman who screamed into the ether back in the day? You know, in 2017. Donald Trump is your president of the United States. That's who she reminds me. In fact, I'm not sure she's not. Have they ever been seen in the room together? I don't know. Back to Nick.
learning right on the door.
Don't open up!
Ma'am, we are not ICE.
I don't care who you are, you don't belong here.
I belong here just like you belong here.
Don't open.
Spoken like a wonderful leftist. You do not belong here. I, the screamer, belong here, but you don't belong here. It's like Antifa in Portland when they say to reporters, you can't report here. You're giving us up. And then they beat them with rocks. We continue. Come on. Oh, crap. Let's go.
You're at this daycare.
Don't open up.
So this is Quality Learning Center. I meant to say Quality Learning Center.
I could hear that all day.
They said they spelt learning wrong.
Don't open up.
How do you have ice here, ma'am? I'm literally a YouTuber.
Don't open up.
Ma'am, what do you think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
Don't open up. We have ice.
And what do you think about this place being licensed for 99 children
Don't open up.
and getting $4 million over
Don't
the
open up. It's ice.
$4 million in the last 2 years?
Go away.
What do you think about that?
Go away.
Are you in
Go
favor?
away.
Are you in favor
Try
of that?
landscape, lady.
Go away.
You know where
You're
the-
not welcome here.
Are you-
Shame on you.
Are you in favor of $1.9
Shame
million
on you. It's
going
ice.
illegally,
Don't open up.
fraudulently to this business that has Quality Learning Center but can't even spell learning right on the door?
Don't open up.
And then he gets in. So let's just fast forward to that because it's delicious. This is where the lady, she looks somewhat familiar, actually. Yeah, are we going to see her? That's in another video, but don't worry, we got it. Anyway, so there's Nick Shirley. He's done God's work, and he's gone to these places and discovered that, well, by golly, there are no children here. After they closed all the daycares that who were misappropriating funds, then there were no complaints from people who were upset because their child's Leering Center had been closed down. So what is it? I mean, is it a Leering Center? Is it a daycare center? Is it something that we're supposed to, this is serving a public service? No. It's just a conduit through which they were laundering funds. And we know that because today we have an arrest. Or actually, we have an indictment. Here she is. I want to make sure I can get the full picture because, I don't know, something is weird with X. I don't know. Just can't. Come on. This is it. Breaking. Minneapolis daycare owner featured in Nick Shirley's video. Fahima Ega Muhammad charged with wire fraud and conspiracy for allegedly stealing over $4.6 million through false claims to federal and state programs. And then we found out from Joni Ernst, the senator from Iowa, that they also got SBA loans for doing nothing except they were qualified because they were an entity. They'd already been getting government funds. So they thought, hey, let's just make it a trifecta of skullduggery. Let's apply for SBA loans, just like those prisoners did in the California state prisons. Remember, some of the prisoners are getting unemployment benefits, and they don't allow them to work in California, so ain't no reason for them to get unemployment. By the way, they're cooling their heels and getting 3 hots in a cot for free. But now let's go over here. Let's share this tab instead. And here we have suspect jumps out window as 15 charged in a new $90 million Minnesota fraud raid. That is today. And here we have 15 people charged in Minnesota in connection with fraud schemes that targeted more than $90 million in taxpayer dollars, according to federal officials. The Assistant Attorney General for the National Fraud Enforcement Division, Colin McDonald, working right at the right hand of J.D. Vance, who's in charge of that whole thing. So the case involves 7 state-managed programs that have been systematically pilfered by fraudsters who treated the program like their personal piggy bank. Hey, it's our money. Somebody was talking about this old movie called The Jerk back in the day, which I highly recommend you go see if you ever get in a mind to go back in time. And it's the Steve Martin vehicle, in which one of my favorite line out of the whole movie is Bernadette Peters saying to him when he's lost everything. He scammed the system. He got all this money, and then he lost everything. And Bernadette Peters says to Steve Martin, "But what about the stuff?" And I say to old homegirl who just got rolled up by the feds, "What about the stuff?" Assistant Attorney General for the National Fraud Enforcement Division, Colin McDonald, said the case involves the 7 state-managed programs and been systematically pilfered. Federal Bureau of Investigation's co-deputy director, Christopher Raya, said that the authorities are searching for a suspect involved in the investigation, saying the suspect's on the run after he jumped out of a 4th-story balcony window. They showed video of it, which I may be able to get up, but the funny part about it is that he ain't running anywhere. He jumped out of a 4th-story building. The guy was gone up, and he looks like half the population. He's tall and he's black and he's a Samoan. So in Minnesota, that is like being Joe Smith or Don Chin in the Chinese phone book. It is phone books where we used to look up people. So anyway, this is quite interesting. And one of the people rolled up was our homegirl over here. The woman, Fahima Ega Mohammed, charged with wire fraud. Wire fraud means that she used some device and probably on her phone, and also conspired with others to deprive the taxpayers of money they were paying into this fraudulent program. And she was in one of Nick Shirley's videos, and she is in trouble. And I hope she goes to jail. I know I really don't like it when people go to prison, but you know what? Sometimes you just have to enforce the law. And sometimes you have to throw the book at people. And if she gets the book thrown at her, she will learn her lesson, as will other people. In fact, there are other people who were rolled up today as well. There is the woman who was doing, sorry about that, I should have had this all ready to go, which I previously did, but hey, what can I tell you? There's a woman who, this chick right here, this is a homegirl who was the one who defrauded the state of Minnesota and the feds in the $250 million Feed Our Future COVID fraud scheme in Minnesota. And her name's Amy Brock. I'm sure that her name will be very famous in prison for the 41 years she's been sentenced to spend there. Between the Leering Center and Amy, there should be no doubt that the Trump administration came to play. So there you go. It's Quality Leering Center. Well, that's right. Okay. So, yeah, it's a Quality Leering Center. I don't even know what the hell that is, but it's true. Quality Leering Center. It said that on the sign. In fact, what makes me so happy about it is not that it's, doing any good for anyone, but that Nick Shirley made some money off it because, in addition to being a YouTuber and him, I'm sure he has a huge account, so I'm sure he made lots of money on that. But he started selling merch with the Quality Leering Center logo on it. Womp, womp, womp. Yeah, so he probably made lots of money on that as well. All righty. So next on our agenda today, in fact, I forgot to show you what the agenda is. Bad girl. Yeah. We've got the guy who took the video of the people cheating on their voter registrations. Now, here it's not quite that, but here's the scam. And coming up in just a little while, you will hear from the man who videotaped, recorded the overt law-breaking on the streets of San Francisco in the Mission District, in which people were being paid to forge the signatures and identifications, impersonate voters from another part of California. This is one of the things that we've shared before on the show, on the Adult in the Room podcast, but he's going to be here and tell us how he managed to get that footage and, you know, what the ramifications have been for him, which I'm sure have been plentiful, actually, because he's still on the streets and he spends a lot of time on the streets. I don't know if he's a street guy, but he is definitely an individual, independent citizen journalist and a street photographer. There are two sort of variations of that. This guy's amazing. Plus the DOJ lawyer is going to jail, I think, anyway. If you see the indictment, which you will today, you will find out just that very thing. Okay, coming up in a few minutes, we'll also be talking with Rabbi Michael Barclay. He's going to talk about whether or not he thinks that the tea leaves are reading that there's something imminent happening in Iran. I certainly do. This is one of the reasons why I wanted an Iran sit rep today, so you're going to hear from him in a few minutes as well. All right, so Thomas Massie is getting a lot of support from the folks who are the anti-Epstein, well, I guess that would make all of us the anti-Epstein people, but the people who want to make sure that there are every single name should be excised from the Epstein files, whether they be accused of anything, found guilty of anything, under investigation for anything. They just want all of the names out there. And Thomas Massie, who is the Tennessee congressman, was tossed out on Tuesday. He lost deeply, badly, very, very badly, to another guy who's a Republican who's more aligned with trying not to torpedo Donald Trump and every single thing he tries to pass through the Congress, which is why Massie lost. I've always liked Thomas Massie. I don't mind. I will tell you, I don't mind that he has been a proponent of discovery in the Epstein file case. What I don't like is that he is so suggestible as to believe that there are other people hiding in the Epstein files somewhere who are kid diddlers and other people. And he continues to play like Ro Khanna and another congressman from California he's single-handedly, Ro Khanna, has chased out $1 trillion in assets from the state of California because he backs the budget-sinking billionaire tax, the one-time billionaire tax, which will never be one-time and will affect more than billionaires because there ain't no language that says it can't. Just like Washington State's doing the same thing. I'm sure Oregon will try it. By the way, the people of Oregon just this week, 83% said, hey, you and your gas tax can cram it. Tina Kotek. So bravo. It was transportation tax, doubling of fees and all this stuff. Oh no, we have no money to do anything. Oh, sure you don't. That's, of course, then they gave the Moda Center a bunch of money. So it's like, oh wait, I'm sorry. Did you say you didn't have any money to spend on transportation programs? So anyway, back to our Epstein update here. Now that Thomas Massie's out of his, on his way out, a former Fox News anchor turned victim advocate, Gretchen Carlson. She's the Carlson everybody's talking about. Oh, Carlson calls on, the Thomas Massie before he goes to reveal all the names in the Epstein file. And it's like, I don't know if she really knows what she's talking about. Does she really know what she's asking for? If we could guarantee, Gretchen Carlson, that all of the people who would be named, I'm begging Representative Thomas Massie to go on the House floor ASAP and read all the names in the Epstein files. You are a hero for survivors. You believe them and fought for them. Your actions are brave and heroic. Now, please blow the whole thing wide open. Thank you. It'd be helpful if it meant it was going to mean something. It would be. And the problem is that this has been tried before and has been a colossal failure, notwithstanding the speech and debate clause that protects the elected officials from being sued for libel or slander. Yeah. You can't besmirch the characters of people. So Ro Khanna We've seen this before, right? Ro Khanna has, sorry, I got to look it up. Jeez. Ro. What he's done is he's spoken the names. He's spoken the names of people who have appeared in the Epstein file. You know, his name also appears in the Epstein file. The guy wants to be the House Speaker for the Democrats. I mean, so here he is, Ro Khanna. He's naming names in and on the House floor, and he's naming names from the Epstein file and ends up having doxed.
Of the files are still redacted.
He ended up doxing the HVAC guys. I think they were construction dudes.
In fact, there were 6 wealthy, powerful men that the DOJ hid for no apparent reason. When Congressman Massie and I pointed this out to the Department of Justice, they acknowledged their mistake. And now they have revealed the identity of these 6 powerful men. These men are Salvatore Navora, Zorab Mikoladze, Leopig Leonor, Nicola Caputa.
Yeah, so it turns out, whoops. Yeah, those people totally innocent. And if they could have, they would have. They may be actually suing them now, for all I know. But, yeah, they sued him. I mean, he went out and outed these guys, doxed him on the floor of the House of Representatives. It is part of the congressional record. Their names are in the congressional record now because Ro Khanna decided that he rushed out of a meeting that was in a skiff, rushes out with the names, and then he goes on the floor and says them. And then they turn out that they're going, all we did was work. We did like construction work. I'm like an HVAC dude. I mean, what the hell are you doing here? So, woo, pretty dumb, if you ask me. And I asked me, so I'm telling you right now. So then there's Ro Khanna, and what we've seen here as a result of Gretchen Carlson begging Thomas Massie to go on the House floor and read all the names. Thomas Massie, you know what he's going to have to do? He's going to have to go into the ones that have been redacted or sitting in somebody's skiff somewhere. And what he's going to have to do is he's going to have to go through and find out individually if the people whose names are in the files still have been, are there 302s from the FBI? Are there indictments? Are there arrests? Are there any charges brought? Or were they just some guy, JSG, going to meet Jeffrey Epstein for a meeting? Or took a phone call from Jeffrey Epstein? Or Jeffrey Epstein talked about in an email? I mean, this is what we're dealing with. But Thomas Massie ain't going to do that. He's probably, if he does anything, he's going to pull a Ro Khanna and he's going to go name the construction crew. That's what he's going to do.
80% of the files are still redacted. In fact, there were 6 wealthy, powerful men.
6 wealthy, powerful.
The DOJ hid for no apparent reason.
No apparent reason to my lights. Of course, I didn't do any investigation of it. I didn't know anything. I didn't bother to find out if there were any charges involved. This is our Epstein update. This happens every damn week. You've got somebody who's really, really ready, willing, and able to name somebody else that Whitney Webb maybe hasn't named in her book. And what they want, can't you just go buy the book? I mean, there are a lot of names in here. It doesn't mean that they're in the Epstein files, but nevertheless, could be. They could be. And, we're doing a best of show next week, and our Epstein update's going to be absolutely spectacular. And we're going to replay an informational, very informative interrogation of a former FBI agent I did on what kinds of things happen in an FBI investigation and how you go about what the records look like, right? What do the records look like? And that will be informative to Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie. And so what they love to do is they love to dangle the issue They don't solve the problem. They just dangle the issue. Okay, if there are people who have raped somebody, raped one of these women who were young women at the time or girls, I want to know who they are. But the people who have been paid millions of dollars, these are the Epstein victims. So they've got an Epstein Victims Fund. They've gotten a payment, and so 2 or 3 tranches of payments from banks that did business with Epstein. Then you've got the Epstein funds themselves from his estate. And these people have been paid millions of dollars. So, I mean, and good for them. I'm glad that they did. But know this, if they have names to share, they should say them. And if they have names to share and they don't want to say them because they're afraid of a defamation lawsuit, as Alan Dershowitz did, then they give it to Ro Khanna or Thomas Massie to give them those names. And they say, these are the people. And you know why? Why haven't they done that? Why haven't they done that? They haven't done it because even though they are covered by the speech and debate clause, which gives them immunity, they won't do it because they haven't bothered to do their own damned homework. That's why. That's why. And it's so aggravating over and over. I think misinforming people. Now, if there are kid diddlers in there, public, string them up. And I'm fine with that. But here's what I want you to know. There's they're not doing that. They're not naming names because they know that there are a lot of innocent people in there. And just because you were the HVAC contractor for somebody in an email that Jeffrey Epstein mentioned at a guy at the thing, that doesn't make you guilty of anything. So, but there's more, because now we are seeing a device, a speech device, a way in which we are now moving on, because nobody's going anywhere. Nobody's being prosecuted right now because the prosecution happened to the guy who did most of it, if not all of it. He did. And by the way, his girlfriend, she's in prison. So I imagine there might be more people out there. Good. Let's go get them. But the thing is that now, because there is nothing that we know of, I know people keep saying, oh, Trump's a kid diddler. Okay, bring it. Chop, chop. I don't have to say this for the 5 millionth time, but I will. Because the Biden administration had all of these files, because James Comey's daughter ran the case against Ghislaine Maxwell, and Diddy, by the way, and she had access to everything. You don't think Jim Comey's daughter would try to out something on Trump? You don't think that Mark Elias would get his hands on that? You don't think that Hoffman from LinkedIn wouldn't be willing, able, and just slaking for information about Donald Trump doing something nefarious at Epstein Island, even though he didn't go? Anyway, So Howard Lutnick comes in. Oh, I was going to tell you the rhetorical device that they're using. Let's see if we can spot it, shall we? Let's do this right now.
I'm angered by the smears on...
Oh, wrong one. Thomas Massie. Here, let's get to the one I actually... I know, let's go to the one I actually
I'm angered
edited.
by the smears on...
No, what happened there? Here we go. Here he is.
He lost because he had the guts to take on the Epstein Class. He lost because he had the guts to stand up against the war in Iran.
I think that the war in Iran situation is right. I think that I don't think it's because of the Epstein stuff. I mean, who's the person who released the Epstein stuff? Oh, that's right, Donald Trump. Do you think if there's a bunch of stuff in there, if there hadn't been 4 years of Epstein stuff that the Biden administration didn't see fit to reveal about Donald Trump because he's, he's just an inhumane individual and he's a fascist and all that stuff, wouldn't they have said something? And now what do we have? We have now the new turn of phrase. It is so that they can besmirch everyone with the Epstein label. And at the Epstein label, see if you can spot what he just said, the Epstein Class. The Epstein Class of bad actors. And everybody's using it because all the cool kids are using it. And, we had a situation in which even Hunter Biden used that turn of phrase. Can you imagine that? And wait. Did you know that Hunter Biden went on Candace Owens' show? It was pretty funny. I laugh because, obviously Barclay's got the talking points out, or whoever's doing the talking points for Talking Points memo got them out. Here is just, before we go to the Rabbi Michael Barclay, here we go. Now, here he is.
DC is corrupt. Politics is corrupt.
But something's changed, Candace. It's not left or right. The DC elite of the left, they crushed my dad because he was never part of that club. He was never part of the Epstein Class.
I could go on, but I'm not going to insult your intelligence. The Epstein Class is now the substitute for what all the imaginations that we can have and the ideas and wish casting that we would have on this issue. And it will forevermore be the Epstein Class. So watch for it, because what it is just sort of a straw man that they can use, they being the people of the left, like Hunter Biden and others, people who don't, who knows what. We've released, how many documents do you need? You need more? Fine, great. And release them all. And then just make sure, stand back, because they're coming for you to sue. So, one of the things I wanted to talk about today was just a quick Iran sit-rep. And I was getting the vibe. I watch Tuesday TV, which is, are you watching that? Because it's hilarious. It's fantastic. And I, of course, listen to podcasts and read, and I just want to know what's going on. I find Defense One. I just want to make sure I sort of keeping up on the technology as best I can. Yes, I was right about the drone ships. So you're welcome. Thank you. And the person under my own roof at PJ Media, a fellow conservative, a person who's a learned man, who's a commentator and a columnist at PJ Media, is the Reverend Michael Barclay. And I wanted to have you on, Rabbi. I'm going to call you Rabbi. I know you probably, Joe, just call me Mike. No, I'm going to call you Rabbi. It'll really tick off the comments section, of which there are many loons on the left there. But I always say I like them to be there because I appreciate that they're willing to listen. So, to me, that's a win. How are you today?
I'm well, thank God, Victoria. It's so nice to be here with you, too, and thank you.
Thank you. What are you working on today? I just saw your recent column in which you talk about the timing of all the craziness, and do you see in the tea leaves, Michael, that there, Rabbi, the on-again, off-again talks, and then we see, Bibi and Trump are going at it on the phone, and I'm going, I smell invasion here. What do you smell?
Well, that's a long conversation. And again, thank you. So I feel like I'm coming to a cousin's house by being with you. So it's really sweet. So every day except for Shabbat and festivals since October 7th, I've written an email that goes out to a few thousand people about what's really going on in the Middle East. And when the war started directly with Iran, Chris over at PJ started publishing them every day. They're just emails that go out to these few thousand people. What we hear in America is totally, that's not the right word. It's a great deal of it is fallacy. How's that?
Oh, I believe it.
great deal. It's just not honest. It's not open, and it's just lies. And it's related. You were just talking about the Epstein Class, which is just another dog whistle for those who like Jews, Israel, and Jews. So if you're Jewish, if you like Israel, that's actually, if you look at it, that's what's being labeled as the Epstein Class. It's pretty much across the board people. It's a nice way of saying Jew friendly in a derogatory way. There's a lot of horrible things going on. Look, here's the first reality. This is going to end the way it's going to end. I just a few weeks ago started a syndicated radio show and a podcast called The Rabbi's Table, and just had Robert Spencer, another colleague, on. He'll be on this Wednesday. I had Alan Dershowitz. I had Dinesh D'Souza. Anyone who has
good people.
Yeah, no, they're really. We've had some weekly show. It's on KBC. It's CRN's distributing it, and then it's also podcasted. Anyone who has any knowledge about Islam, it's very clear. Whether it is a respite, a ceasefire, whatever you want to call it, ultimately, this only ends in one of two ways. Or three ways, I guess. One way is if there was a revolution within Islam, so that the 80% of non-extremist Muslims, not practicing Muslims, kind of took over the theology. The other way is the Quran is very clear. Either it's a worldwide caliphate or they will die trying to make that happen. In our minds, it's a war that started a couple of months ago. Maybe it's a war that started October 7th. In their minds, it's a war that's been going on 1,400 years, and we need to understand that. Which this is just the latest battle. And the Quran is it's a business plan to create a worldwide caliphate run by Sharia law. When you understand that, everything becomes in a different perspective. The idea of this ceasefire is a joke. There's a law within Islam that allows Muslims to lie to non-Muslims. That's why they don't keep any agreement anyhow with Iran. They've been at this for 47 years with this regime. And we should finish this war while we have the opportunity before they get nuclear weapons. And that's, this stalling out is not helping anything. It's just letting them rearm. And that's what's going on. Today, I don't know did you read the news that came out this morning about the Ayatollah?
No, what is he still dead, or is he still alive, or is he still blind? Does he have
still alive. He's still,
still gay.
I can't speak for that with any honesty. I'm straight.
I keep asking people, all the people from Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Okay, have we figured out if he's gay yet? Because that's hilarious. Because they'd string him up. Anyway,
he has come out. He's made it clear they're not getting rid of their enriched uranium.
I did hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're just not going to. And their demands are financial remuneration for all the damages that have happened during the war. They want all their funds released. They want all this craziness. And I really wish that we would just go in and say enough is enough and take over the Strait of Hormuz, do what we need to do. All this is stalling it out so that there will be more war. It will be worse because they are unearthing their weapons. They're unearthing their launchers. They're getting new ones. There's been shipments coming in from China. So whether it's a ceasefire that's a day, a week, an hour, a month, or a year, it's temporary because of what their commitment is.
What's Trump's angle? I mean, is he trying to just look like a reasonable individual, and maybe we are rearming too? Because I understood that we were a little low on some of the munitions, so I wonder if maybe that wasn't just to buy us a little time as well.
I gave up a long time ago trying to figure out what was going on in Trump's mind. He's both brilliant and crazy in the best of ways. And my sense that's been going on, and I think this is one of the challenges, is on the one hand, he's got Rubio who's whispering into his ear, who's been saying since 2011, you have to take out this regime. They're going to get nuclear weapons, God forbid. This world is over because they will use them. They're happy to die for their cause. They have the idea of mutually assured destruction is not something that's in their concept conceptual mind.
They're all 12ers.
Yeah, and it's just not. So on the one hand, it's got Rubio, who's brilliant and amazing, and I wish would run for president after Trump, and it's just terrific. On the other hand, you've got Vance and Witkoff and Kushner. Vance is concerned about being able to be elected in 2028. And Kushner and Witkoff have both made a tremendous amount of money through Qatar. Kushner's venture capital fund was funded through Islamic money, and Witkoff got bailed out on the hotel that was about to go bankrupt to the tune of over $600 million by Qatar.
Oh, jeez. Yeah,
So-
Qatar does not like us. I don't even understand why we're allowing. I mean, I know I get they're part of the region. We want stability in the region, all that stuff. But I'm just like, I mean, I wouldn't bend over backwards trying to help those guys. I mean,
Well, you know, I think
Abraham Accords notwithstanding.
one of the things we need to understand, I think, is that, and I don't know if Trump understands it or not. He's got a lot of people around him who do, like Dr. Gorka and like Rubio. But we grow up as human beings thinking that our value system and our neighbor's value system is the same value system other people have. So, you know, I grew up in an upper middle class suburb in Southern California. It is so inherently contradictory to everything I know to see people running into 7-Elevens and mugging people just to mug them, or that would happen at Chick-fil-A, things like that. They have a different value system. America has grown up with the value system that everybody wants peace and prosperity. That's a Western value. That is not what Islam wants. It's not what Iran wants. And this isn't about Israel. When the Ayatollah 47 years ago took over Iran, he didn't make any comments about, oh, now we're going to take over Israel. This is about getting land for the Jewish state. His comments were all about that now we have a homeland, we have a land where we are in control to create a worldwide caliphate from. So I really hope Trump does realize it. I think he's just generally a very optimistic man and is hoping and believing that economically he can strangle them enough that they will be forced to do things. I don't know that that's true, and I think it's only a matter of time before this becomes a very hot war again. Whether that's
I think so too.
It's gone on a long time, and Israel also can't let it go on. Obviously, Netanyahu and the Israeli politicians, the whole nation, understands what's going on a lot better than anyone here in America does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think that they really had a fight, the president and Bibi?
I don't. I think the idea of fight is a
harsh words
connotation. So I'm gonna. You know, someone said, "Why do you rabbis always answer a question with a question?" And I always said, "Do we?" And then he told a story because that's what we do. Years ago, I was Professor at Loyola Marymount University, the chair of the business school, dear friend, very, very close friend. He used to stay at our house. Also, a rabbi, and we would have vehement dialogues about what would be best for the Jewish students at Loyola. And the priests would look at us and figure we must be enemies because in their world, if you argue with someone, you're their enemy. In our world, it brings us closer together. It's a theological issue. I think it's the same thing with Bibi and Trump. I don't think they're fighting against each other. I think they're wrestling in an intimate way, saying, look, I know better. No, I know better. No, I know better. And they're both brilliant and talented men. So I think it's more 2A personalities trying to negotiate in very passionate ways than it is that they're actually arguing or fighting, or making those kind of comments. That's my sense, at least.
So the sooner the better, the bigger the booms, the better the booms. And let's get this show on the road. I can't even imagine a day in which we would want to solve a problem. I know it sounds terrible. I like the idea of a diplomatic end, but with these guys? Are you kidding me? They hate us. I mean, they'd just as soon drop a bomb on us as say good morning. So
They'd rather drop the bomb.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I feel like and by the way, have you noticed that Pakistan's name is not actually in the mix quite as much anymore?
Well, except the Pakistanis are the ones who are moving things back and forth. Again, a totally Islamic nation. This is not an impartial mediator. This is an Islamic nation.
I mean, letting them park their war jets so they don't get hit by U.S. strikes. I mean, to me, that's like hiding Osama bin Laden for all those years. I mean, it's tantamount to that, right?
No, you're absolutely right. You're really right, Victoria. And we need to wake up that this war that is happening there, which is a war against Western civilization, is also happening here domestically too. That whether it's Mondami, whether you see it with Mondami, whether you see it with California Bill AB 2017, trying to make Islamic religious holidays official state holidays in California. These are all different ways of what really is the goal, as stated in the Quran, which is to create a worldwide caliphate of Sharia law, in which case you and I are both infidels who must be either converted, killed, or enslaved.
That's pretty much it. That's
That
it,
is
isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
really
the choice. Convert or die.
Yep.
Convert and die.
Yeah, and it's or you could be taxed for a while. You can be enslaved, which is why Robert Spencer, our colleague, calls it a parasitic culture, a parasitic philosophy in his new book, Tragedy of Islam, that he just read.
Is that out already? Oh, my
It is
gosh.
out. It's terrific.
He writes every time I have him on. He's got a new book out.
The guy's prolific. He's prolific. And you want to hear something really disturbing that was disturbing to me, at least?
Sure.
So this Michael Horn, Jennifer Horn's dad, and Tom approached me to do a radio show, and a podcast. So okay, we'll do this, but I want it to be a dialogue, not debate, because I hate the craziness of Candace and Tucker and Piers and these people that were, just trying to create incendiary fireworks, and that's not how we bring people together. So it's called the Rabbi's Table: Dialogue, Not Debate. And one of the shows I wanted to do is I have known a man over 20 years. We were colleagues at Loyola Marymount. Brilliant man named Dr. Amir Hussein. He's pretty much considered the top theologian, top academic in the country about the religion of Islam. Yeah, he was at my wedding. And so Amir, I wanted to have Amir and Robert, because Robert is extremely sane. He's not screaming, to have a dialogue together, because they both have translated the Quran. They both are so much more knowledgeable than the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
And Amir had originally said yes, and then he backed out. And he wouldn't sit with Robert. And Robert and I talked about it a little bit, and he said that as a general rule, people who want to justify Islam as a religion of peace will not sit with him, because they can't contradict what he's showing and saying is actually in the text. It's really sad to me. And it was a big statement as well.
Can you take what Robert says in one sitting and then give that to your Islamic friend or your Muslim friend?
I mean, he backed out of it via email and has not returned a phone call or email since. It's really sad to me, because I really care about the man. But we need to understand that there is a polarization. We need to understand what the Quran actually says. We need to understand, as Westerners, that this is a battle for literally our culture and our civilization.
Yeah.
And we're losing it right now. And we're not losing it necessarily in Iran. We're losing it in the state of Washington and in the state of California and in the city of New York, and with all these Sharia communities that have popped up all over. And we're losing it. I wrote an article for PJ when this mosque was shot up in San Diego. Mm-hmm. And actually, I take it back. It was not for PJ. It was for American Greatness. I apologize.
Oh, okay.
I apologize. And it was about the fact that this is all going to be used to raise money for this mosque, which is responsible for housing and taking care of two of the hijackers from 9/11, which is constantly promoting the destruction of America, et cetera. They're using it already to say, oh, look, it was Islamophobia. They're using it because the Republican Party, Roxanne Hope and other people in the Republican Party in California, are fighting against AB 2017, this bill that wants religious holidays. And they were having candidates start to say in debates to the Democrat, how do you feel about making an Islamic holiday a religious holiday? Well, now the counter argument is, oh, you don't want it because you're an Islamophobe. And that's what caused San Diego. They're using it for political leverage and political power. It's really disturbing.
Wow. Well, I'm going to listen to your podcast, and everybody should do that. And he's distributed by CRN.
It's the podcast. The show is on radio stations around through CRN. It's on KBC here in Los Angeles on Sunday evenings. Podcast is anywhere you find podcasts. Apple, Spotify. You can even dial #250, say find my podcast, and then it'll say what podcast you want, and you can go to the Rabbi's Table and it'll send it right to your phone.
I did not know that.
That's
amazing.
It's a new thing that Aaron is doing, that you dial #250, and then it's just sort of this noise, and you say find my podcast. I guess that routes
That's
it to
wild.
And then you say the Rabbi's Table, and it takes you right to Apple, Spotify. They send it right to your phone.
Thank you, Rabbi Michael Barclay. His work is in PJ Media, and of course, as he just said, he does his podcast, and you can find it. Just #250 and find my podcast. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. I wonder if I could find mine that way. That'd be awesome.
Bet you could.
I bet
you could.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I hope you can come back again.
So thank you, Victoria, for everything you do, and much love, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Back at you. Appreciate that. You know, I did want to do Ron sit rep. God, I hope not. I hope it's not like Iraq. And I got Edmund Fitton Brown to come back on because he's putting up with me. And the reason I wanted to is because all of the information that's been coming out fast and furious in the past couple of days. And I have been, concerned. Like, are we about ready to go kinetic again in Iran? And so I think he's there. I see his place. Edmund Fitton Brown, you there? I don't see you, but I hear you.
I absolutely am here, but for some reason you're not seeing me. I don't know why that is.
I don't know.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. How are you, by the way?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you, Victoria?
I'm doing well. I'm thinking we don't have a lot of time because I know you're very scheduled tight, and I've got another interview to do here. But I did want to find out from you whether or not you think we're reaching a pitched time, a fraught moment in this Iran situation in which we could be seeing more kinetic activity.
Well, I think there's definitely that risk.
Imminently.
Yeah, definitely that risk. The president is kind of cornered here because the Iranians are offering no real concessions, or at least very, very few. And they're betting on the idea that they can essentially outlast him, wait him out. And he's in a situation where he can't walk away, because if he walks away, the US will seem to be, seem not to have achieved enough to justify having gone to war in the first place. And of course, the Iranians will scream victory, even though they obviously haven't won. They've obviously lost militarily, but they will argue that somehow or other they have, stood defiant, and that eventually they were able to, to sort of outlast the US. But the problem is that the other alternative, which is to return to a more kinetic approach, is also quite unattractive from the US point of view.
Sure.
So I think for that reason, the president has kept extending the deadlines. And the most recent extension of the deadline, he said that the leaders of Qatar and UAE and Saudi Arabia had asked him not to attack, even though apparently the US was hours away from attacking. And he's agreed to a short delay whilst the Gulf states, the Arabian Peninsula states, try to come up with a deal with the Iranians. Now, I'm not optimistic about this because the relationships between the Saudis and the Iranians are not great. Between the Qataris and the Iranians, also not great, because, as you know, the Iranians had attacked both Saudi Arabia and Qatar. And between UAE and Iran, the relationship's absolutely terrible, because UAE has been a cheerleader for the military campaign. It has an alliance with Israel, and Iran has attacked it during this war. So I'm afraid that we're probably going to find ourselves in a few days' time, once again, with the president weighing up these unattractive options.
Yeah.
The only advice I can give him is that I still don't think he has given time for the blockade of Iranian ports to deliver results. I think he can still hold this position for quite a long time if he's willing to do so. And the other thing, which I think the US really does need to do, is to stop quarreling with its own allies and start building a coalition to force the Strait of Hormuz open. Because this is, I think, something on which most countries can get together. Nobody wants to see the Iranians given sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz. And so I think, even though the Europeans and others sounded very reluctant at first, I think that this is an area where US diplomacy could make a difference.
Are we reaching a point of diminishing returns then?
Well, I don't know about diminishing returns. I mean, I think in the main military campaign that lasted from the end of February through into April, there probably was an element of diminishing returns, because when you have a target list, you're going to have your first rank targets, your second rank targets, your third rank targets. This was a long and ferocious campaign that the US and Israel waged against Iran, and they would have got through all of those top rank targets. So that makes it difficult to go back to a bombing campaign, because you're then attacking your third and fourth rank targets, because the main targets have already been hit. I don't think there's a diminishing return with the blockade. I think that the blockade has not yet been given the chance to do its full work on Iran. The Iranian economy is absolutely on its knees, and the IRGC, who are calling the shots in Iran, they're going to struggle to pay their people, and that creates a problem, including, of course, the Iranians worrying about whether they're going to face unrest on the streets again at some point.
Well, I just feel like going into this Memorial Day weekend, going into special holidays in Israel, I mean, we've got all of this stuff sort of interplay. This is working here. We find out that allegedly there was a very loud and tempestuous phone call between Bibi Netanyahu and President Trump, and I mean, wasn't the last bad phone call those two had a precursor to more kinetic, the actual invasion or attack?
Yes, I mean, this is the thing. There's a strange dynamic, I think, between the two leaders. The Israeli objectives here are relatively clear. The one thing they don't want is for the Iranians to be able to declare victory. And the Israelis have always been pretty clear about their war objectives. They wanted to set back the nuclear program, they wanted to set back the ballistic missile program, and they wanted to set back the Iranian proxies. And then, of course, in an ideal world, they also wanted to see regime change in Iran. Now, the Israelis already got most of what they wanted, but they also know that if the Islamic Republic remains in place, then it will just set about rebuilding those capabilities that have been destroyed. And then you probably have to do this all over again in 2 years' time. And of course, one of the things the Iranians are aware of is that President Trump's presidency will start to expire over time. 2 years from now, he will be coming very close to the end of his presidency. And of course, we don't know who might be his replacement. But the Iranians are very aware of this stuff, so they will play for time if they can. The Israelis will say that from their point of view, it's an existential issue, and therefore, if the Iranians start rebuilding, then the Israelis will, they'll look to get involved again as they did last year. So I think that this is really difficult from the point of view of the United States, because the US has never really set out with absolute clarity what its war objectives are. I think President Trump has been clearest about the nuclear file. And if the Iranians would make some concessions on the nuclear file, we still might get a deal coming out of this.
Unless it goes kinetic in the next couple of days. I really feel like something's happening. I mean, of course, you're the guy. You're the man who's literally, you have squared off with terrorists in negotiations. So I defer to you, of course. You're such a, person that is keeping his head here, and when things are crazy, I think
Victoria, I'm definitely not saying you're wrong. I think it could go kinetic again. I think that's absolutely possible.
Like imminently is what I'm thinking. But I don't know.
It could be imminent. It could be, because the other thing to remember is that one of the things that President Trump has done in the past is that he's activated a negotiation channel. He did this with the Europeans, with the Iranians, just before the 12-day war. And then that gives you the element of surprise and you strike. So yes, you could be right.
But whatever you say, I'll defer to you because you're the man. Okay, Edmund Fitton Brown, Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. Thank you so much for coming back on. I appreciate you just doing it in a pinch and just giving us an update on what you're thinking right now. Appreciate it very much, sir.
Most welcome. Thank you very much, Victoria.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Here's the man who, well, he's the one who took this video. streets of San Francisco. And in so doing, he captured absolute, unabashed, unquestioned, and questionable voter fraud.
Hey, what's the line for?
For sign a petition.
Shut up! Don't say nothing no more.
They get $25 to sign a petition.
They get $25?
$5.
$5. Okay. Would you have to have your ID?
I'm not sure.
You know what I appreciate? I like it when people, as a reporter for a long time, decades, ask the question. And JJ Smith is asking the question. And, you know, it takes skill to do that. He's been doing this for a little while. We'll bring him in. JJ Smith, street reporter, independent citizen journalist. Very much for coming on the Adult in the Room podcast. Really appreciate what you do.
Thank you for having me.
What got you started doing stuff like this?
Well, actually,
Oh, you're breaking up. We got some bad. I think you got a bad. Do you have Wi-Fi there? I mean, are you working on? Yeah, I'm not hearing. You're going like every other word I'm hearing. Let's keep trying it though. Okay. You're still bouncing in and out. I wonder if Alex can help. Alex is the tech person and producer extraordinaire. And I'm going to call an audible and see if maybe he can. Hey, Alex, can you hear me? And can you help? Can you help with JJ's? He says he's hearing. He says, have him rejoin the podcast and see what happens. Can you do that? Can you just come back in, just leave and then come back in on the link?
Okay.
Sorry about that. I mean, it's kind of a pain in your butt, but there you are. We'll play your video, and then we're going to come back and talk about your video. I appreciate it. Okay, so we are going to kick you out of the studio for just a moment. Does that mean yeah. If you want, no, okay. Oh, okay, coolio. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the other one. Kick from studio, kick guest. Oh, no. Okay, there you are again. Sorry, I've never had to do this before. Let's see how this one works.
Does it sound better now?
Oh, gee, it's like night and day. Awesome. Okay, so here's your video. Here's a little bit more of your video. Just want people to see this. And I want everybody to see the lady. We've played your video before, but this chick right here.
What is this?
I want you to watch very carefully the absolute voter fraud going on here. Voter registration fraud and petition signing and all sorts of stuff.
Two of them. I get $5 too?
Yeah.
And what is it?
Love it.
Just sign it?
Just sign it.
You ready, ma'am?
Watch this.
First name is going to be Carol. Last name is Sanderson. This is the address right here. This is the city, Avila Beach. And this is the zip code. Oh, there. So remember, first name is Carol.
Your first name's Carol. I want you to sign that name here. And we're going to pause this for a second. Actually, it's almost to the end of it. What happened there?
Well, they was telling people to sign other people's information.
Uh-huh.
And actually, I didn't really think about it until after I rode off. And while I'm riding off, it's dawned in my head that, wait a minute, I captured something interesting.
You sure did. Now, did you ever fear for your life? Or, I mean, you photos, you record stuff on the streets all the time. So I'm sure people may know you, but now they know you captured this particular incident, which could get people thrown in jail.
Actually, I captured that incident once. The day after that, I captured one, and I captured another one 3 weeks ago in I've been capturing this incident, the same scenario, for the last couple of weeks. Couple of months, I've been capturing it.
Is that the one you just posted the other day? It was another one of those situations. I saw one of your videos from the other day, and then you're just down there. I mean, what I love about what you do is, and everybody should do this, obviously, is ask questions.
Yeah.
I mean, ask the question. Don't assume what's going on. He got how much they're paying. He got a proof of the law breaking. He got her on video encouraging fraud, voter fraud, and voter impersonation. Then what they were doing, now was the scheme in this one, the similar way in which it was in LA, in which she had this chick who's been rolled up, she just got, busted by the feds this week. So she had them register to vote, and then she had them sign a petition that was the one thing she was getting paid for. Is that what was going on here, or we're just fraudulently putting other people's names on a petition?
No, she actually had like voter registered information.
And they were voting. They were registering for other people.
Yes, correct.
What's the angle there? Just so that they can vote the ballots? And where were the addresses? The addresses were because that was not the lady from Avila Beach. Okay, that chick was not the lady from Avila Beach. So what the hell was going on?
No, the addresses was with the names that those real legitimate addresses where the people are living at now.
Okay, so here's what I want to know. This went viral, obviously, and I really appreciate coming on here and talking about it. And it also was noticed by people at a Sacramento TV station, or Bakersfield, one of the two, I can't remember. And they brought it to the attention of the Attorney General's office, I think it was, of the state of California, or at least the Secretary of State's office. And they said that they would look into it. Have they gotten in touch with you at all?
Yes, they've been in contact with me. Actually, I just spoke to them today and yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, what do they say?
They're still gathering more information, locating the people. They know who they are.
Is it an organized thing?
All these petitioner gatherers that's here in San Francisco, they're being shipped here from other cities and states.
Uh-huh.
They're coming here. They're not from California, some of them. Some of them are not even from San Francisco.
What else do you know?
That's all I know so far. I know they're still doing it.
They're still doing it. And do you just go down every day and they're still doing it and you capture them on?
Every day I go out and people are still doing petitions. All of them are not illegal, but you have some of them that are.
In what way are they illegal in your book?
They're illegal because they're offering people money. That's one thing. Secondly,
right.
They're illegal because they're using other people.
Yeah. And what happened to those voters whose identities are being stolen by these guys on the street?
Well, all I know is one person on one video I did. One of the persons who they was using contact me and asked me to take my video down because it had.
Oh, I didn't hear that. They take that off because it had her address on it?
Had his name and address on it. And I said, it's too late now. If I take it off, it's still up there.
Oh, yeah. Whoa, so remember now you were looking at your video. Let me just go back and I think this is it. Okay, this is your video, and I'm looking at this chick.
It was three people sitting at that table that was 6.
Here she's looking at you, and I thought, just a flash of anger, just a little like, what are you doing here? And she's caught breaking the law. Did you feel unsafe after that? I mean, you are a male, so you already have an advantage. You're bigger than she is, I assume, so you already have an advantage, but still, you're not 100% safe.
They had a guy with them too. Also, he's sitting over there in the white shirt. It's him all the way to the other side. He has the white shirt on. Look, yeah, going. He has the white shirt. Him with the white shirt against the gate.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, against the gate. Oh, I don't see the guy in the white shirt, but I see other people. Oh, there we go. Oh, a striped shirt. Yeah. Okay.
With them also.
Okay. So that dude. So is he doing it too, or is he just the security guy?
He's the security guy.
Okay. So he could put a little hurt on you if you wanted to.
And then there was another female sitting next to her.
Uh-huh. Well, this is the thing, JJ, and this is the thing that they always say, well, this never happens. You crazy people on my political side of the aisle, I can't believe that you even think that there's voter fraud. And, I've talked a lot about the voter fraud issue, and it's really voter impersonation more than anything else. So they don't go out necessarily and steal ballots, although that happens, I'm sure. But they steal people's identities, and they grab the ballots, or they sign petitions for them. Like, do you know what petition this was that they were signing for?
It was 3 of them. It was more than 3, but one of them was for a billionaire's tax.
Wow.
Another one was for a retirement fund.
Oh.
And another one was for something about Better California or something.
Uh-huh.
I can't recall what all.
Oh, that's right. I did a story about it for PJ Media. I think that last one, Better California thing, that might actually be one of the Republicans that co-signed with these this particular contracted with this particular outfit and had their paid signature gatherers doing this. This is just outrageous.
Yeah, none of those 3 people that was there is from California.
And did you find out where they came from? How did you know that they weren't? Did you just go back and say, "Hey, where are you from"?
No, it's actually during the investigation that's going on. It was they're identified. They're not from California.
Oh, okay, all right. Was that from this TV station one, or is that subsequent revelations that we found out from this operation? Has anybody been arrested yet?
Well, I filmed one person. He was in the act of doing it, and I filmed him while he was doing it. The DA's office came up and arrested him.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. How long have you been doing this?
Well, I've been documenting things in my community since 2022.
Okay, you've been at it for a while. You've seen it all, haven't you?
Yes.
I watch your videos. I want people to go see. JJ Smith is where you can find him on X. His handle, however, is War, and a series of numbers.
War 241 82236.
And you will see some of the rawest video that you will see of the people who are just completely lost to themselves and to the world on drugs, and it is so incredibly sad. And I've been there in San Francisco. I've had, I don't know, do you throw out your shoes once a week, or do you just sanitize them every day, for crying out loud? Because there's so much interesting stuff on the streets of San Francisco. I mean, honestly.
Actually, I have to take them off before I walk in there.
That's exactly right. Yeah, get some of that. Get some of that COVID spray that's left over that nobody ever bought. I highly recommend. So, and then the mission. Where are you here? What section of the city?
In the Timberline.
And there are a lot of NGOs and nonprofits out there, and a lot of people take care of the homeless people, or get them food, hold church service. I mean, I've been there. I know. And the thing is that how do they countenance such a thing? How do they look away when this sort of thing is happening? Because there are 2 people being victimized here. One person's being impersonated, and another person's being beguiled into breaking the law. That's not good either.
No, it's like it's lawlessness. That's what I call it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they have the police that want to do the job, but then you have those people that defund the police and all their political power stopping the police wanting to do the job. from actually doing it. Then you have judges in San Francisco that when the police arrest a person, they file the charges, you have the judges releasing them, even if it's real serious charges.
How have things gotten better or worse since you started documenting in 2022?
Well, it all depends. Some things got better, which
Oh,
it
good.
did up under the new administration, new Mayor Glory.
Mhm.
But then it's a lot of work needs to be done. And sometimes they overlook the rest of the work that they have to do. I believe they just got too relaxed and too comfortable.
Yeah, I guess they don't have to contend with, human feces and stuff to the extent that a lot of other people do. I'm sure you see it every day. I mean,
Yeah.
I can see why you're on a bike. I wouldn't want to walk on there, Are you on your bike all the time? Is that sort of how you're known?
Yeah. I'm on it all the time.
Uh-huh. Why? It's probably safer that way for you, right?
No, it's I can just get to where I need to get to faster.
Yeah.
You hear those police sirens and the ambulance sirens, I can get there just as quick as they get there.
Oh, yeah. Especially on the streets of San Francisco where it's pretty, a lot of cars, a lot of patrol, a lot of traffic and stuff like that. So, have the feds gotten in touch with you at all?
No, not once.
Not FBI, nothing. They're just letting California take the point on this.
Yes.
I'm kind of surprised that they've done that, but maybe they'll zoom in later, or maybe they haven't seen your video. Have you shared your video with them?
No, people always tag them into my videos. I know Harmit Dillon, she's seen them.
Oh, okay. Well, that's who you want to see him.
She's seen them because she commented each time, repost them.
Yep. Okay. No, she's the one. She's in charge of the Civil Rights Division, and that's the one that oversees voter integrity. And there are all kinds of things that come into play in the videos that you're sharing there, and it is stunning, absolutely stunning. I'm surprised. I think probably because they just did this LA one, and they announced that this week, and the chick who was caught doing that on the videos for James O'Keefe, and he had her doing it over and over 28 times, and he's got the video for it. Do you stand there and you just watch them? And because if the more times you get them breaking the law in succession, the better. I mean, I don't know if you want to get them busted, but we want you to get them busted because we think this is really bad for integrity of the vote in California, frankly.
Sure.
So, but if you could get it over and over and over and get basically a evidence trail, that'd be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried the best I could do. I got what I did. I wasn't even looking.
I know.
I ran across another fraud today and yesterday. They got Medicare fraud going on every day out here.
What is it? What does that look like?
I just posted that video about an hour ago.
I'm going to look for it, and then maybe we can. You can talk me through it. Hold on. Try to stand by. I'm going to share this tab, and let me do this.
This Medicare
Take
fraud
that.
one got me started. This is how I caught on to the petition fraud. So I always look at the Medicare fraud.
Oh. Okay, let me just see. Hold on here. It's not you. No, that's your other one. Okay. Hold on. I'm looking. I just want to make sure I can get it up here. And
Exactly the last video I posted.
the last video. Okay. I think I might have to do my share screen stuff again. Hold on. And JJ, I'll have you up there. Share. And let's do this because I want to see this. Let's see. Here we go. Take this off. Put some. Okay, let's go through this and find it. And last video, this is, hey, help JJ Smith rebuild his community. And here we go. Let's pull it up.
What do I need?
Medical and ID, but I'm not sure how long we're going to. I'm not sure if these are our last customers, but when the boss comes back, I'll find out.
Medicare. I need my Medicare card and ID.
Yeah, Medicare and ID.
Hmm.
And they're out there pretending to be doctors or nurses. They're having people standing in the corner to take urination tests.
What are
But
they
could
doing? They're taking a test? What? I'm sorry. Just
urinate in the cup.
really?
Yep. Out on the public street. They will stand in the corner and urinate in the cup.
300.
What are they doing that for?
They want people Medicare records, Medicare card and social security number and ID, so they can build Medicare
Why 153?
like by service. They pay people $5 for their information.
Dude, that's amazing. And you're sure about that?
Positive.
Wow. So they go, okay. Let's just reiterate. They go, they pee in a cup, and then they use that, everything. I mean, that's DNA right there. That's their name, their social, everything. Yeah. And then that's when they start manufacturing the records. They start manufacturing the places or the reimbursements that they seek.
Yeah.
And you know this for fact because why? I mean, it is hinky looking, obviously. But
I've been looking. I started looking into them way before I found the petition. I started doing the petition. I've been looking into them for a year.
Wow.
I have multiple people pull their Medicare payment plans up after doing these. They're being charged $4,000 and $5,000 for services that they never did.
Wow.
And
let's watch.
These people that come to the tender line and see it and do it.
Okay, let's do this.
They don't have no proper equipment to handle urine.
Yeah.
You go see the urine. They don't wear gloves.
That guy had one glove on.
I get $5 for it.
He has one glove.
I ain't gonna say it loud. I'm sorry. Where do my information go to when I give it to you? You don't know? All right. It goes in the system. All right.
They get in the urine.
And how much do they get?
$5.
What? How desperate is it that people will do that for $5?
You don't place nothing. Just place it on the ground, on the side. Everybody urine is sitting on the side. It's not even labeled with no name on it. So how do you know whose urine is whose? Then you're going to start seeing them have people take their shoes off doing the DNA.
They're taking their shoes off and what? Because you bugged out there.
Swab their feet to do a DNA test. If you watch the video, you'll see he'll cotton swabbing people's feet.
Okay, let's go back to the video. I'm just knock me over with a feather.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Is this the line behind him? Oh, I thought that was. I've been right there all this time thinking that was the line.
Wow, JJ.
All this Medicare fraud.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. Are you sure they're? I would say it. Look, the question is, are you sure? But the other thing is does anyone's name actually go on any of those sample things? Like that guy just took the DNA of that person. Did that person's name go on there? Is there a label maker? You know, like they do at the hospital?
There's no labels on there. I watched the whole thing. There's no labels on it. And it's usually they have like a chest. Like if you go to the hospital and you do this, they're going to put it in a chest, an ice chest, to keep it cold or whatever. He lays it right there on the ground.
Well, and it's unmarked.
And it's
What the
unmarked.
hell, man?
It's unmarked. And he have the people go on the side of the van. It's a truck right there. He have them go on the side over there and go take a urine, go pee.
So they're publicly urinating.
Yeah.
In a cup.
Yeah.
But they're encouraging that.
Yeah.
They are taking the samples. They are not marking the samples. They are taking down people's names and socials, however. And they had to have a Medi-Cal card. Is that correct?
Yes.
Which is, that's Medicaid for everybody else. They call it Medi-Cal in California. And so somehow that particular account is going to, you know what this is, if what you're saying is true, and it certainly looks to be the case, what they're taking advantage, obviously, of the terrible circumstances these men are living in.
Yes.
And they're plundering the system.
Yes. This is not the first video like this. I have about 5 or 6 more.
And those on your recent timeline, or these other ones in the past?
They're in the past. They're not recently. About 2 of them is from this year, probably in January. Then I have some from last year.
Okay. Wow. Same kind of deal you've seen as this?
Same kind of deal as this.
Holy shinola, man.
And they tell the other ones, they tell which company they work for. I looked into those companies. They don't exist.
Oh, geez.
I caught one person twice. Each time, one time he told me a certain company, then the next time it was a different company. In either companies he told me, neither of those companies exist.
Wow. JJ, I had no idea this was going to be the turn of our conversation. Holy crap. Okay, now, do you live in the Tenderloin yourself?
Yes.
Okay, so you're there and living the nightmare, I suppose. How do you, how is it? How is it living there? I've spent the night down there before, but I've just never, I was, at the church and stuff like that. So I was safe. What about you?
That's a hard question to answer for me, because I feel okay living here. I grew up in this area and I grew up in this lifestyle. So it's okay for me. I can deal with it. I can tolerate it. There's other people that's here that don't feel the same way. They don't like it, but they have to live with it. I don't like it, but I have to live with it too, though. But I can tolerate it because everybody speaks to me and I know everybody. I'm not scared.
Well, oftentimes when we've gone to minister to people, basically we just give out food and talk to people and just, hey, how you doing, kind of a deal. And we run a camp for the kids. And because there's over 3,000 kids, at least at that point in time, that's been a couple of years back, there were 3,000 children living in the Tenderloin. And their parents are high and they're not good parents, honestly. And we want them to be in a good place where they're safe. And their parents can come and go to the camp and all that stuff. And City Impact is what it's called. And they do wonderful work. You're familiar with City Impact?
I'm familiar with City Impact.
How are you liking it there?
I like City Impact.
Yeah, they're legit.
Yeah, they do services up here with this other organization called YWAM.
Oh, okay.
And I'm always down by YWAM all the time. And City Impact be there. They walk around and do their outreach sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Stop and speak to people, pray for them.
Yeah. Wow. So do you stay clean, or you're not? Obviously, you're of sound mind. What? You're just there. Why are you there? Can't you get out? Do you want to get out?
I was born and raised in this community. I've been here all my life. This is all I know, really. I mean, I've been to other places though, but I love this community. It's just being elected by citizens and not doing what they're supposed to do. See, the problem is They have this labeled as a homeless crisis.
No, it's drugs.
Right now in San Francisco, it's not a homeless crisis. It's a drug crisis. And they don't want to call it a drug crisis because it's a different type of funding than a homeless crisis. See, a homeless crisis, they can get more money to build more housing. See,
Yeah, I've noticed.
and then
I've noticed all those buildings going up. I've noticed all those new NGOs around.
in all those new houses that they building and talking about is going to be for the homeless, all those new houses is not storing homeless people in there. They're being sold at market rate value.
What? What are they doing with them?
They're being rented or sold at market rate value. They're not being built all for the homeless people.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So they have Section 8 housing or something like that involved in there. So they have to have a minimum of that, and then they sell the rest of them for full market value. Which, you know, if a person of means, for example, are you gonna want to live in the Tenderloin when it's like this? Because you're even saying that this is it's a hot mess, man.
Yeah, it is. It's like, until they recognize this is a really drug crisis, homeless crisis, it's going to continue to be. Yeah. There's no plans to shut the open drug market down.
No. Has harm reduction, we're told, where they hand out the needles and they hand out the pipes and they hand out the foil and all that stuff. Is that helping or hurting?
It's hurting. It's hurting because they don't believe in offering people treatment. They don't believe people going to rehab. They don't even believe. They have a motto, and their motto slang is, let people get high and let's keep issuing them their supplies for safe use. But this is one question they will never ask with their motto. What's safe about using fentanyl? What's safe about using fentanyl in a clean pipe? They will not tell you what's safe. But they'll say, we're giving out clean supplies for safe use. Mm-hmm. They don't like it when I come around. Every organization come around, if they're outside, they pack up when I show up. If their doors are open, they close and lock their doors when I walk by. Because they know I fit, and that's what I'm going to do. I don't say nothing to them. I don't speak. My weapon is my camera. And they don't like me pulling out my camera.
Yeah, the dark doesn't like the light, bud.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I want to make sure I ask all I was just going to ask you about the harm reduction, that sort of thing. But,
yeah. The issue with harm reduction is like I went to them multiple times with the same scenario. This is before they even knew me. And I asked them, do y'all have any information for rehab or detox? They tell me no. Nope. I went to another organization, asked the same thing. They tell me no. Every organization will tell you, no, we don't have no information for rehab or detox.
That's, I've heard, here's what I've heard. Tell me if I'm wrong. From people who have been on the street and they've been high and on the street and dragging their bones on that street, barely able to deal with life. The best thing that ever happened to them was being sent to jail so they could dry out, so they could get medical help while they're detoxing. And then they got their head straight, and then they, some people relapse, of course, but do you think there's merit to that argument?
It's a lot of merit. Everybody, I grew up, I know a lot of families, my family, when my brother that was addicted to drugs or one of my friends was addicted to drugs or something, families used to be happy when their child is incarcerated. For two reasons, because they know that person is not outside harming somebody else. And the other reason, because we know he's safe, he's not getting harmed. He's getting clean.
Yeah, I get it.
So jail saves lives. Just talking from personal experience, I come from a lower poverty neighborhood. I come from the project. I have families into getting high. I got friends getting high. And each of my family members that was getting high, or each one of my friends, Their family always was happy when the person is in jail. My mother used to wake me up every time she hear an ambulance. She'll wake me up at 9 at 10 o'clock. Go outside, says your brother all right. She hear the gunshots. She tell me, go outside, says my brother all right. But once my brother was in jail, she was relieved.
Yeah.
She didn't have to worry.
That's crazy.
Jail
That's jail saves lives.
It'll
I
say the
agree.
person who's using drug life. It'll say an innocent person that's out on the street.
That's right.
Because people do anything when they want to get their fix.
That's true. JJ, thank you so much for coming on the Adult in the Room podcast, and I thank you for what you're doing, and I hope that you continue to stay safe while you're doing it. I just, I'm sure that, just to hang in there, and I hope that the feds eventually get in touch with you, and Harmeet Dillon and the Civil Rights Division of the DOJ gets in touch with you, and that they begin to pursue some of these people who are predating upon the people in the Tenderloin who are just, barely getting by and barely cognizant of what they're doing. And now they're being sort of beguiled, I call it, into signing away information that they are not in their right mind to sign away. Right?
Yep. Right.
You can't, that's no contract. That's not a contract. Man. Thanks, JJ. I hope you can come back on again, too.
Anytime.
Thank you very much. It was very enlightening. Appreciate it. You take care.
Okay.
Take care. Man,
Bye-bye.
oh man. Bye-bye. Well, wow. Wow. Lots of, I got another wow story. JJ was the best part of the show, but this is another wow story as well. And it pertains to the people that we entrust with our system of government, our system of jurisprudence. The scale of justice, remember? And the blindfold across the Lady Justice and how they're not supposed to see stuff. You know that. And this story is such a mind blower. I stayed up till 1 this morning reading all these court documents. And the story goes like this. The woman who was prosecuting President Trump. Remember there was a special prosecutor, Jack Smith. And all of a sudden, people were looking at what Jack Smith was doing. And what Jack Smith did, he was looking at President Trump, and he's a Russian spy, and all of that nonsense. And then remember the raid on Mar-a-Lago. And the raid on Mar-a-Lago is the keystone to the grand conspiracy that will ultimately redound in charges against the people who never get in trouble for doing anything wrong when they break the law in pursuit of an anything goes justice against a person they perceive to be the bad guy. You have victims. You may not like the victims. You don't have a perfect victim. But what you do have is you have somebody, whoever it is, who deserves a fair day in court. But they didn't want that at the DOJ under Biden administration. Jack Smith didn't want that. He didn't. What he did was they were going after Trump for Mar-a-Lago documents, which he was perfectly, under the Presidential Records Act, perfectly qualified and legal to have from his Trump 45. And so what they did was they went and got a bunch of the documents and all that stuff. They were looking, you know what they were looking for? They were looking for the Rosetta Stone documents that were telling the tale of the Democrats' illegalities in the spying on of Donald Trump. That's what they were looking for. Mike Davis is absolutely convinced of that. He's very, very intimately involved in this. He's been on the program before, and that's what he knows. That's what he says. I believe him. Okay, Mike, you say that. I do believe you. Okay, So with that backdrop, what Jack Smith did was he goes to the D.C. grand jury, and he gets, of course, we're going to get we're going to get the arrest warrant, we're going to get a search warrant, we're going to get all of the stuff that will allow them to get these warrants. Everybody will sign off because everybody in D.C. hates Trump. I mean, 98% of the people voted against Donald Trump. And TDS is in the water there. This isn't, this is not hard to understand. So they did everything in D.C. and then they did the raid in Mar-a-Lago. What they needed to do was they needed to take that particular part of the legal fight to Florida. Okay, so that's sort of the long tail on that kite. Well, here comes more information on that. So what they did was they got a prosecutor, and she was going to prosecute in Florida, and they transferred everything down. So even the grand jury indictments went to Florida. And it was like, wait, time out. What the heck, man? You can't do that. But Jack Smith is, he's, if anything, he's the most unethical special counsel you can imagine. And so we should all revisit all of his previous cases in which he was, his indictments, to the extent that he got people punished, they were thrown out. The whole deal against the accounting firm during the Enron scandal, done, thrown out. I mean, people are the Enron guys who were found to be, ripping people off, thrown out because the guy was such an unethical waste of space. So who does the Biden administration call? Who does Merrick Garland call to do this case against Trump? Well, they call in the most unethical, most shark-toothed person who doesn't give a flying flip about ethical canon to come in and do the case. And that's why they did that. But what happened was Jack needed an attorney who could be as counsel in Florida at the DOJ. And you know what? The person in charge of the case, Eileen Cannon, who no doubt has to have security now because gets death threats every day. So what happened was she says to them, eventually the Trump administration, he was out of office at this point. His attorneys, one of which is Todd Blanche, they go to Eileen Cannon. They go, okay, this dude isn't even. But not only is everything bad that he's done, but this dude is not even properly premised to be the special counsel. He was not under the employ of the DOJ. They just plucked him from the World Court in Brussels or wherever it was, and they just punched him in, and he's just like parachuted in, woo! And then he starts doing his job. Well, he was never properly predicated to be a part of the case. And the judge goes, you know what? You're right. And what she did was, she said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We are going to take the special counsel's report that he wrote about this, and we are going to put it under seal. And ain't nobody going to be able to read that. Nobody, no how. And that's what she did. Until just a little while later. And the government said, hey, man, hey, Judge, don't worry. We won't tell anybody what's in the report. Well, that's different. We won't tell anybody what's in the report. We're going to tell them, we're going to just make sure that we just want a few congressmen, 6 or 7 congressmen to take a look at this report. And then we are going to be keeping it a secret after that. And she laughed them out of court. laughed at them. I mean, she didn't literally laugh at him, but she as much as laughed at him. And in a 14-page decree, if you will, a decision, Eileen Cannon said, no. President Trump, anything you've got going against President Trump is denied without prejudice. He's done. We are done here, sir and ma'am. And she said, you are getting nothing. You will get nothing. You win nothing. Good day, sir. And she booted him out of court. Said, no, you can't do this. So you can't have this report, volume 2 of this report. You can't have it. You may not disseminate it. We don't even, and they said, oh, well, we promise that we won't disseminate it. We promise. And she said, you and what army promises this, basically? You got to go read it. It's actually just amazing reading. And so she said, no, we're done here. We're done here, people. And what happened to volume 2 of this report? Well, Eileen Cannon found out, or someone, I'm thinking it was probably Joe DeGeneva, who found out that the temp DOJ prosecutor at the U.S. Attorney's Office, where Eileen Cannon, she's in that area, that circuit, does her thing. Well, Eileen Cannon said no, but this person who was hired to be in Jack Smith's stead to run the case in Florida stole the document. Stole it. And yesterday, homegirl was indicted. Can we just pause here? Carmen Mercedes Lineberger served as the managing assistant U.S. attorney of the Fort Pierce branch of the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of Florida. As the MAUSA, which is, they have the worst acronyms at the DOJ, as the MAUSA of Fort Pierce branch on or about January 16th, 2025, Lineberger received via an electronic message on her Department of Justice email account copies of the report, Volume 2 report that was subsequently filed to the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida. And on January 21st, Eileen Cannon said, we're not doing that. We are going to seal this. So it has, in fact, Eileen Cannon's sealing order has been in effect, continues to be today, since January 21st, 2025. So on or about September 22nd, Lineberger created an electronic document on her computer, government-issued computer. This is important, right? So they were able to get a look at it. And she took portions of the internal DOJ electronic messages had received on her DOJ email account, as well as portions of an internal DOJ memorandum containing the header and footer markings which read, for official use only, internal DOJ use only, and saved the compiled document with the file name Chocolate Cake Recipe PDF. She also had a bundt cake in there too. So so this is what she did. You remember all the Fauci stuff where the number 2 guy who's been indicted, who was Fauci's brain, and he got in trouble because he was working with the FOIA chick, the Freedom of Information chick, who was teaching everyone at the NIH, the allergy, whatever Fauci was at. It was a long acronym. And the FOIA chick was teaching them how to get past the Freedom of Information requests that may contain sensitive information by changing letters, changing fonts, whatever it is. I mean, the stuff you dreamed of doing when you were in college and high school. they were doing in the health department that Fauci ran. And so, hey, one of them was chocolate cake recipe PDF. So on or about September 22nd, Lineberger transmitted an electronic message from her account. You're going to love this part. You're going to love this. From her DOJ email account to her personal Hotmail email account. Hotmail. Yahoo and Hotmail. I mean, we all have one. I never had a Hotmail, but I mean, we all have like one of the older generation. I mean, I've got emails out there. I'm sure there are tens of thousands of zombie emails in there somewhere. Anyway, that are years old, by the way. Not even interesting. On or about December 1st, 2025, Lineberger accessed electronics message she previously received, which contained the report, downloaded an electronic copy of the report to her government-issued computer, altered the original file name to bundt cake recipe, and saved the renamed file to the desktop of her government-issued computer. On or about December 1st, she transmitted an electronic message from her DOJ email account to her personal Gmail account with the subject line in the message, bundt cake recipe PDF, which included the report with the altered file name, bundt cake recipe. Okay. Count 1. Allegations contain paragraphs 1 through 9 of this indictment and realleged and incorporated by references as fully set forth herein. Carmen Mercedes Lineberger, this is a high-level prosecutor with the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of Florida. And homegirl's just been indicted. She embezzled, they allege, stole, converted to her own use, and without authority to convey and dispose of any record and property of the Department of Justice. Oh yeah, count 2. We got another one. Everything's fully set forth therein. She knowingly altered, concealed, and covered up a record with the intent to impede, obstruct, and influence the proper administration of compliance with Eileen Cannon's order. Now, she knew what the judge's order was. She kept a document and then tried to cover it up. That's obstruction of justice. That is all manner of bad things. Then we've got Carmen, this is count 3. She willfully and unlawfully concealed and removed and attempted to conceal or remove with intent to take and carry away a record document and filed and deposited with a clerk, an officer of a court in the United States. In any public office with any judicial and public officer of the United States, that is, didn't change the file name of the report, thereafter attempted to remove the report via electronic transmission outside the Department of Justice. That's probably how they did that whole Dobbs decision thing, too. Count 4 counts. Willfully, knowingly embezzled, stole, converted to her own use, another government document. Violation. So she's Title 18, United States Code Section 641, Section 1519, Section 641. She's in a hell of a mess. Let's see, we just have 4 counts. She could go to prison. She will probably, if she's found guilty. I'm not sure how you get out and around from that. This is, my friends, this is a purpose pitch. It is painful. It is to tell these people who think they are above the law because they are the law, that they're not. That you cannot conspire to subvert a document to your own use and then later disseminate it. And who knows if she has? Maybe she has. And if she has, do you know how many years will be added to a sentence that she may or may not get, depending on what happens in her court battle? Homegirl's going down. She's going. Done. Now, one more thing, because hey, what the heck? I mean, I'm already almost 2 hours here. I want to go over a little bit. And Alex, you can bail, man. I know, I understand. Because it is Epstein Thursday. And I want you to know about the Howard Lutnick deposition. So this is 96 deposition. I read most of it last night till 1 o'clock. Make sure I got the right one. We have the Ted Waite and the Howard Lutnick ones that came out. And I have some notes that I took. I just want you to get a look at it. It is basically what James said. He's in charge of the Oversight Committee. And James Comer came out after Ro Khanna came out and said, he's been found lying 3 times. You know, he was pretending he was Adam Schiff. It was just absolutely, it was an abomination. The dude wants to be president so bad. And I don't know what he's aiming at. Maybe, does he want, I don't even know. He's thinking about running for president. And I mean, he's not, as obnoxious and odious as he is, he's still not as bad as Kamala Harris. So there's that. He has that going for him. But on this is I want to make sure I find my notes. Okay, so stand by here. My notes are in a different file, which is fine. That's fine. Yeah, here we go. So my notes on the Howard Lutnick deal, 96 pages. And what they try to do is the Republicans start first. Ro Khanna comes in like an hour into it, doesn't even listen to what the Republicans have asked Howard Lutnick. And this time they have, for Lutnick, they've got staff attorneys asking questions. They learned when the Jasmine Crockett, John Min made they were from Clowntown. Just terrible. And they thought, this is really making us look bad. And because they were asking not just stupid questions, just beside the point questions, and they wanted it for a soundbite that they could have, whatever. You already know that, Darrell, you're here, you're still here, okay? So just a very quick overview. Page 14, which you'll see of the transcripts. Howard Lutnick has 3 times where he's seen Jeffrey Epstein. He was in his house with his wife. He's always been with somebody. And would you like a tour of the house? He was asked by Jeffrey Epstein with his wife. And so they were already sitting in the living room because he'd invited them over. The new neighbors, they were the new neighbors. They were invited over for coffee. And they, let me just make sure it's page 14. I'll make sure you can see page 14. And let's go here. Make sure. Get my new, smaller keyboard today. So anyway, so he offered, would you like a tour of the house? And he said, sure. And then we had a tour. And then we went across the hall where, across from the living room, from the dining room. And he opened the door and there was a massage table. And I saw this massage table and that ended the tour. So Lutnick goes on to say, it was just really, really just tacky. So you did not see the rest of the house. One room is what you're saying? One room, that's my recollection. It was like in 2005. Okay? One room, that's my recollection. Secretary Lutnick, you mentioned in your opening statement that Mr. Epstein demonstrated a clear lack of boundaries, and I think the word you used, and you were referring to the massage table. Lutnick goes, no, in the living room, and then we opened the door to the room across the hall, and that was when I assumed would be the dining room, but he opened it and said there was a massage, and there was a massage table. It was a lack of boundaries. Howard Lutnick and his wife were like, well, what the hell, man? And so he asked, how often do you have a massage anyway? And he said, the best of my recollection is, here's what he's saying. This is on page 14. Every day, and the right kind of massage. He said it to me, and my wife is standing right next to me, and we look at each other when we left. Okay, so that's his wife. You know, every good man needs a wife to tell him, you know, you're never in a room alone with this dude, ever. And it's surprising, knowing what they knew in retrospect, why when they were in, that was another creepy thing. Let's see, I'm going to make sure page 16. So on the podcast, the Democrats are asking him questions about a podcast interview he did and about a New York Post article, which fair game, I guess. So on the podcast, you said after seeing the massage table at Mr. Epstein's house, let's go to 16. You decided that you were of the Pod Force One podcast. But generally, how did this appearance come about? I don't know offhand. I think my comms did it. And the topic of Jeffrey Epstein was the first topic of the appearance. Did you know that you would be discussing Jeffrey Epstein when you agreed to go to this podcast? No, I thought I was going to talk about September 11th, which of course is his entire company was, well, almost his entire company was wiped out in the World Trade Center. And he missed it, which, of course, online people are going, oh, he missed it. He knew something was coming because he's a Jew. I think he's a Jew. I don't really know. But anyway, because everything else is anti-Jewish these days, why not this? Which, of course, is why we have the Epstein Class of people. That's the new verbiage. Learn it, know it, and know that it's a red herring. So anyway, we talked about the statements that you made after seeing the massage table. The guy's gross, disgusting. You'll never be in a room with him again. And you said it was just one and done. Is that a fair characterization? No, I think the right way to think about it is my wife and I discussed I would not be in the room with him professionally, philanthropic, or social reasons, meaning don't form, the simplest way to say it is to don't form a personal or professional relationship with him. Avoid establishing one because he has no boundaries, right? He just said something inappropriate in front of his wife. Just avoid him, and I did. And so that was the discussion with my wife. It was informal. I wasn't trying to be precise. Well, they keep coming back to it. And when the Democrats get a hold of the questioning process, the Democrats continue to talk about the fact that he said, I'm not having anything to do with this dude. And he has to continue to the back and forth with the attorney is absolutely amazing. In this way, the guy just will not relent. He just he's trying to set a perjury trap for Howard Lutnick and to say that, oh, I thought, the guy's a total jerk. I don't want to have a thing to do with him, but I'll let my wife be able to be in his presence. That wasn't what the point was, he said. I just don't want to be in a place alone with him, which is why he later went to the Little St. James. I'm sorry, I'm just taking my books off my chair because it's time for me to, I'm going to sit down. So that's what they were trying to do. They're trying to catch him in something and, aha, I see that you decided that you're going to go to Little St. James and you're a terrible person and you put your children and your wife at risk. Yeah, children, wife, and their 10 friends, right? They brought 12 people to lunch. Howard Lutnick's going, I ain't going there by myself. Jeffrey Epstein wanted him to go by himself. Then they said, well, didn't Epstein get in touch with you about becoming a part of another company that you own? It was a subsidiary of Cantor Fitzgerald, which was an ad company, an online ad company. Can you imagine what Jeffrey Epstein would have done with that? Holy moly. And it was a pretty, it's one of those things where it was, it can flame out or it can go big. And it was just one of those companies. He was the CEO, but he said, other people ran it for me. And this was way below my, what I was keeping track of. So that was another thing they wanted to know. Oh, good. I get actually in the frame. That's cool. Then, wait, I'm not done yet. They try to get him on the why did you go to this place? Then on Little St. James, Epstein Island, pedophile island, and then they go after Lutnick. He comes back at Lutnick, the Democrats' attorney, and says, "Hey, wait a minute, hold on now. Who'd you buy your house from?" Howard Lutnick bought this house 2005, what was it? No, 1997, I think it was. And it took 8 years to renovate it. It was dilapidated. And of course, in New York, there's every conceivable kind of regulation one has to adhere to. I mean, you can't just build something. I mean, you gotta, it's the Mondami effect. And I know that this was not Mondami at the time, but I mean, it's just red tape, just typical New York stuff. And so it took 8 years to improve it. 8 years to improve the house. Don't you give up at some point? Well, anyway, so he said, "Oh no, I bought the house from some guy who's in the Epstein files. I'm sure he's in the Epstein files." And I'll get to his name in just a second, but it was a three guy name, so Day, so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. And he says, "Yeah, no, I bought that house from them." Well, over and over. Let me find this. Did you know at the time that you purchased the home that the home had previously been owned by Jeffrey Epstein and Les Wexner? I don't know. And I bought it from Charles de Gunsberg, so that I remember. I don't know if I knew anything else. Is that you're not sure? Are you sure? Or are you or not that you knew at the time that the home had been previously owned by Jeffrey Epstein and Les Wexner? We went over the Les Wexner deposition, the videotaped one. I mean, the guy's a billionaire. He runs an amazing amount of companies. Well, Howard, what's his name is too, And so, Lutnick. But Wexner is the dumbest billionaire because the lying, it was just amazing. It was just like, look, I want the behavior panel to get a hold of that Lutnick thing if they haven't already. Just amazing. I mean, woo! Anyway, is that you're not sure whether or not you knew at the time that the home had been previously owned by Jeffrey Epstein and Les Wexner? When I bought the house, I didn't know. I don't recall knowing. You don't recall whether or not you knew at the time. Is that right? Right. Okay. Is it possible that you knew? It's possible that you did not know. Am I interpreting that correctly? I mean, I don't even think is it possible you knew? It's possible that you did not know. Am I interpreting that correctly? No, I don't recall knowing, he answers. I recall what I did know was I bought the house from Charles de Gunsberg. That I know. I don't know who owned it previously. I can't say as I sit here today from whatever, almost 30 years ago, what I knew or didn't know, but I certainly didn't know when I bought it. I'm sorry. There's just a little contradiction between those two parts. You are not sure today whether or not you knew at the time that the home was owned by Jeffrey Epstein. Is that fair? No, I bought my house from Charles de Gunsberg, and I do not recall knowing when I bought the house who owned it previously. Does anybody really know that? I guess. I don't even know. Yeah, so sitting here today, you could not be certain as to whether or not you knew at the time that who was the previous owner is what I hear you saying. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Just trying to catch him. Just saying something that doesn't comport. But he goes, I bought the house from this guy. Okay, I rely on my previous answer. And then he starts, I just rely on my previous answer. And he doesn't give them what he wants. He's not going to restate it for them. He's not going to give them some other sentence that he can parse. He's just going to, I'm sticking with my answer. And on it goes. And so they come out of the Howard Lutnick deposition and hey, Ro Khanna. He lied 3 times. We played that for you a couple of weeks ago. He lied. I can't believe that a guy who said he never set foot in a room with Jeffrey Epstein again would ever bring his wife and kids there. Yeah, well, yeah, I wouldn't have either. I mean, I think that's weird. Why would you do that? Oh, and he said, this is really weird. He goes, it was kind of creepy that, they have staff working for him. So it's like he invited them over for coffee when they first move in, but he didn't invite them over for coffee. It wasn't Jeffrey Epstein inviting Howard Lutnick over for coffee. It was his person, his person gets in touch with Lutnick's person, and somehow, and all of a sudden there's you're invited over for coffee at thus and such time. So anyway, I don't know what he was playing at. On the podcast, Howard Lutnick said, I think there might have been some blackmail going on there. And now I think we know in retrospect it's probably not blackmail. And he changed his mind and said, I don't really think in this space right now, I've had super smart people talk to me about this. I don't think it was a blackmail operation at all. So I said that on the podcast, but I think I was wrong. So you can change your mind and not be hit with a perjury trap. You can do that. But you just have to decide, do you believe it or not? What I do know is his wife is with him every step of the way. She's keeping the governor on him. Don't be in a... I have talked to my husband in terms like that before. Nope. Not to this extent, obviously. And, I'm not saying that my husband's, he's been with predators and, he had business. But no, it's like, and he's made some excellent calls in his business life. He's going, yeah, that's unethical. I can't do that. And he's saved himself. I mean, telling the truth and saving yourself from being part of something that's nefarious. He's been at some companies that are pretty high level. And, you just have to... You have to know. You have to have the feelers out. Mr. Terwilliger, I would object. You're just asking him to speculate what other people thought. This went on and on and on. In fact, I could not believe it when Lutnick's own attorney just, come on, man, asked and answered. Can we just move on now? Oh, no. They couldn't. It goes on for another 50 freaking pages of, are you sure? Mr. Khanna asks, which he gets a question in because it's Ro Khanna. I'm going to run for president, and I know everything about Jeffrey Epstein. See the 6 names I divulged before the entire world, and that were wrong, and they were HVAC guys or construction dudes. Yeah, this Ro Khanna who said, "Hey, with Bernie Sanders, I think a billionaire one-time billionaire tax. That's a great idea. Come on, Silicon Valley's not going to move out. So then Silicon Valley moves out, taking $1 trillion of capital wealth with them, and they're not going to get that money in the state of California with your stupid Bernie bro activities. So so Khanna's got to get his, get in the show. You acknowledge the fact that you had these things that came out of the files. Do you think that before you should have said something at some point, whether it was a podcast or not? No one's perfect. I'm just saying, in retrospect, do you think you should have been a little bit more forthcoming on those 2 incidents, and maybe it wouldn't have become such a big deal if you had said it? Oh yeah, Mr. Ro Khanna, the one who's been saying he met with him 3 times and he had the temerity to take his wife and kids on one of those meetings. His wife was in every one too. How could he just think so little of this man and yet drag his family in there? How dare he? It's like, dude, not your business, right? Okay. However, he can, I suppose, decide anything he wants. But it's stupid. Okay. Then, no one's perfect. I'm just saying in retrospect, do you think maybe, I would love to see the tape of this. We don't have one. They didn't record it. But I would love to see Khanna just try to run this line, David Men's line. Anyway. So Lutnick says to this obvious, inauthentic way of trying to get something out of Lutnick, I thought I described an informal conversation with my wife from 20 years ago to make the point I was trying to make. I made it reasonably. I tried to make it reasonably. So you have no regret, says Khanna. Lutnick, no. Well, I'm done. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being here, and I appreciate the time. So when we go on, there's more Lutnick here. Well, if I find any good, I don't think there's any good scoop in there. The different congressional representatives, which means that they're asking really self-serving, stupid questions. And the ones you want to pay attention to are the ones that the attorneys asked. And the ones that the Democrat attorney, the Republican attorney, by the way, most of the Democrats weren't even there. Okay. So on the oversight committee. And so this is establishing like person, place, thing. Is it a noun? Is it an adjective? Just the real basic stuff. Right. And so then the congressional reps, I guess at the end, not I guess, they do get to ask questions. And then it turns into a feeding frenzy. Sorry to take your time. Are we still on the record? Yes. I noticed that after what the chairman just said, Congressman Walkinshaw said he had not heard about a certain statement that Secretary Lutnick talked about in the administration official. I just wanted to be clear for the record that ranking member Garcia of this committee sent a letter where those things are mentioned. So I guess he's not aware of his own ranking member's letter. Anyway, it goes on like this. It's a feeding frenzy. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. Dumb. And that's it. Spencer Pratt could win the mayorship of Los Angeles. He could. And I know that because he's gaining so much traction, but I also know that because he is leading the latest reporting period for making money for their finances, the FEC filing. And that's the name of that tune. So Spencer Pratt just outraised Karen Bass. And that's the way this looks. So we go here.
Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass has a hold with local chambers of commerce and labor groups, but Spencer Pratt has seen some big name donations come his way lately, and he's even outraised Bass so far this year. From January 1st to April 18th, Bass has so far taken in just under $500,000 from contributors, but that's behind Pratt's nearly $540,000 in donations that he's taken in. And Pratt's popularity is climbing in the polls with the ultra rich. Look at some of these recent donors. Jeffrey Sprecher, the CEO of the Intercontinental Exchange, Jeannie Buss, the governor of the Lakers, Sean Rad, the founder of Tinder, the dating app, Jamie Siminoff, the founder of Ring, the security system, Lucien Grange, the CEO of Universal Music, and his son Elliot Grange, the CEO of
People are not freaking out about voting or supporting Spencer Pratt. They're not. There has been, Mark Halperin has come out and said, I think this guy could win. I really do. And he has, the Me Too'd very high, previously, prior to his Me Too'dness, says that, look, Spencer Pratt, I think he's going to win. It's possible. Which may or may not be his ads. These are supporters who are making these ads. This might be an official one. Well, Halperin says this is a commercial that allows people to get around, establish a permission structure whereby they can vote for Pratt. Watch this ad.
Today. Hey, I have to tell you something. Promise you won't get mad? I'm voting for Spencer Pratt. Get mad? I'm voting for Spencer Pratt too. Did someone mention Spencer Pratt? No? No. Oh. Because I'm actually voting for him. Oh, so are we. I just don't know if we can say that too loud over here. Say what? Spencer Pratt? He's got my vote. Wait, is everyone here voting for Spencer Pratt?
You are not alone. There's another one where a bunch of guys, it's the guys' version of this, and a bunch of guys are going, well, I'm not MAGA, but I really appreciate, neither is Spencer Pratt, by the way. Even though that Donald Trump said, I understand he's a MAGA guy. Well, okay. Maybe. I don't think so. He's not running. He's not running with Trump. But Trump said this guy really is really interesting. I hope he wins. And he goes, but it's a real traffic wreck in the voting system in California. And you're running up a hill. You got you're rucking with 5,000 pounds, and you are in the mud. So it's tough. It's a tough deal. But Halpern says that there is a permission structure, and this other male one that I couldn't find it, but that's okay. They're talking about, well, I'm not MAGA, but I think I really think there's really some problems here. I'm not MAGA, but I think that there's the homeless people all over the streets. I mean, I'm not MAGA, but I mean, what are they doing to the dogs on the street, man? Well, I'm not MAGA, but I think that we really ought to find out what happened in the fire. I'm not MAGA, but giving them a permission structure to accept the fact that this dude is actually the right choice for them. And then there's the one I was desperately trying to find yesterday or Tuesday. Tuesday. And it's this. I got it back. It's happening. And I'm going to share it with you. I am going to bring this up so you can. This is just a creator. This is a guy who wanted to, just support. The guy makes incredible music videos and all kinds of things. It's pretty amazing. And he just he's made multiple ones of the Spencer Pratt candidacy. Okay. So here it is. Watch. This is the one I happen to like this one a lot. Shoot. Here we go. Hello.
Wow. It's one of the best political ads I've ever seen.
I can't get it any bigger than this, so I apologize.
Cartels laughing while the mayor's getting paid. They decriminalize it, call it harm reduction. Now kids dropping dead, that's their new tradition. Needles in the playground, zombies on the block. Politicians in mansions, doors double locked. They say it's a crisis, then fund the same clowns who lost track of millions. Now the whole state's drowning. Crack in the booth, no filter, no cap. Y'all been sleeping on the fraud, now it's time to clap back. And what about the dogs, man? Hearts on the floor. Strays in the camps, getting kicked, getting told. Poison bait, hit by cars, no one keeping score. Why they spin on needle vans and open the door? Animal shelters overflowing, crying in the night. But the fire machine keeps running under neon lights. From Sacramento down to Venice Beach sands, it's one big Ponzi, they stealing with both hands. Taxes through the roof, businesses all fleeing. Middle class extinct, that's the California dreaming. I went from reality TV to reality checks, exposing the grift, put the state on blast next. They want you quiet, they want you scared. Posting pretty filters while the real shit's there. But I ain't budging, Heidi by my side. We see the fraud, stay wild. Genocide of pride. Waco, California. California fraud. Whole state's a scam. Homeless funds vanishing. Don't give a California fraud. Whole state's a scam. Homeless funds vanishing. Don't give a California fraud. Whole state's a scam. Homeless funds vanishing. Don't give a California fraud. Whole state's a scam. Homeless funds vanishing. Don't give a damn. It's prayer, baby. The truth hurts. Clean it up or watch it burn.
Wow. It's one of the best.
That is pretty doggone effective. I mean, if it reaches people, right? So, he's done a couple more. I mean, several, and they're all hilarious, or they're effective like this guy's. It's not a commercial. It's not his expenditure, but it's pretty effective, and it's gotten, let's see, how many views? I don't know. He's posted it multiple times. 9,000 comments. I think they might have something here. Okay, so best ofs on audio only next week, and on Rumble and on Spotify. And we are going to go over, in one of the programs, we're going to go over the birthright citizenship argument that should be considered by the U.S. Supreme Court. We'll do that with Richard Epstein, who is a wonderful attorney. And of course, he's a legal professor, is what he is, and legal scholar, and you can hear it. So that's going to happen next week, and we've also got some other things that I think are worthy of revisiting, and so we're going to do it. Now I'm going to leave you today. I'm signing off, but I'm going to leave you with an exchange that I feel that you should hear. I don't know if you know about crazy Mazie Hirono. She's one of the dumbest people in Congress. She's dumb. Jasmine Crockett's not dumb. Mazie Hirono is a senator. And she goes up against Ted Cruz. And Ted Cruz is very smart. Alan Dershowitz called Ted Cruz the best student in law school at Harvard he's ever had, which is to say something quite a bit. That's big. Here we go. It's a lengthy exchange, but worth it because it's a history lesson that Mazie Hirono didn't want you to hear. And here's why you need to hear it.
So why don't you just stop lecturing the rest of us? Just because you think you are the smartest person in the world doesn't mean the rest of us agree to that, okay? Thank you.
Senator Hirono,
Senator,
I knew
Senator,
Diane.
Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a moment ago, our colleague, Senator Hirono, said there's a lot more to say, and indeed she's right. And in fact, I want to go back to her comments. She began by saying we have a long history of racial discrimination in this country. That's undoubtedly correct. And then she said, quote, we had poll taxes, we had literacy tests, we even had tests of how many jelly beans are in a jar. Mr. Chamberlain, when Senator Hirono says we had poll taxes,
Chamberlain, another guest of ours.
I want to ask you who we is, and in particular, what party was it that implemented poll taxes in the South?
And I don't want to necessarily speak in every single case, but I'm pretty confident it was mostly the Democrats.
And what party was it that put literacy tests in place in the South?
Same answer, mostly the Democrats.
And what party was it that had tests like how many jelly beans are in a bottle?
The Democrats.
Tell me, what party were the founders of the Ku Klux Klan from?
I'm pretty sure that was the Democrats.
Indeed. In fact, Nathan Bedford Forrest, the founder of the Klan, was a delegate to the 1860 Democrat National Convention. What party wrote the Jim Crow laws in the South?
The Democrats.
And so on this side of the aisle were members of the Republican Party. Who was the first Republican president?
Abraham Lincoln.
The Republican Party was literally founded to oppose slavery. We came into existence because slavery was a grotesque evil, and it was President Lincoln, the first Republican president, who signed the Emancipation Proclamation, who won the Civil War, and that resulted in the freeing of the slaves and the passage of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. By the way, fast forward to the Civil Rights era. Bull Connor, one of the most noxiously racist politicians. What party was he from?
He was a Democrat.
The Democrats, for the entire history of their party, have been a party based on racial discrimination. They affirmatively embrace it. They support it. Let me ask you, Mr. Grime, is discriminating based on race consistent with the United States Constitution?
No.
What does the 14th Amendment say about discrimination based on race?
It's prohibited.
What does the 15th Amendment say about discriminating based on race, and in particular drawing congressional lines and explicitly discriminating based on race?
It's prohibited.
Now, the Democrats are fond of telling this story that is, and I wish I could find a kinder way to say it, a flat-out lie. That without discriminating based on race, that no African Americans will be elected and no Hispanics will be elected. Indeed, there was one fellow online who was a vocal left-wing spokesperson who tweeted out, if I'm advising anybody to run for president, they sure as hell better have a solution to how you make sure that it's not another 100 years before another black person can represent South Carolina. So that's a typical Democrat statement, that we cannot elect a black person in South Carolina without discriminating based on race. I want to ask you, Mr. Chamberlain, who is the junior senator from South Carolina right now?
That would be Tim Scott.
And All right, I'll tell you what I said online. I said, hey, Grok, who is Tim Scott? And why do Democrats think he isn't black? And by the way, was Tim Scott elected because of a gerrymandered district drawn only to elect an African American?
No, he won statewide.
He won statewide. By the way, the Democrat position is you can only elect African Americans with a gerrymandered district. I will point out Burgess Owens, an African American, is elected in a majority white district in the state of Utah. He's a Republican. Byron Donalds, another African American, is elected in a majority white district in Florida. He is a Republican. John James, another African American, is elected in a majority white district in Michigan. He is a Republican. And my own congressman, Wesley Hunt, who represents me in the House of Representatives, he is elected in a majority white district. He is a Republican. And yet, in the Democrats' world, you're not black if you're not a liberal Democrat. There is an arrogance to African American voters. By the way, they also have that same arrogance to Hispanic voters. They say you're not Hispanic if you're not a liberal Democrat. Well, I'll tell you, I am proud to be the first Hispanic ever elected to represent the state of Texas in the United States Senate. And Mr. Chamberlain, in my election in Texas, was I elected in a gerrymandered district that could only elect an Hispanic?
No, you were elected statewide.
Discrimination based on race is wrong. Final question. The Democrats are now clutching their pearls that seats drawn to elect liberal Democrats in the South are going to go away. You may get black Republicans instead. Indeed, in Tennessee, they're freaking out that a liberal white guy who's a Democrat is likely going to lose his seat to an African-American woman who's a Republican, and they say that's horrible racial oppression. My final question is this. If you look nationwide, which party has egregiously abused gerrymandering for decades? Both parties are guilty of it, but who has been the worst offender? And in particular, take New England. Take Massachusetts, take Connecticut, take Rhode Island, take Maine, take Vermont, take New Hampshire. How many Republicans are elected from all of New England in the House of Representatives?
I think the answer to that is zero.
Zero. They've drawn every district in a naked gerrymander, and yet they're very upset that their illegal pursuit of power has now been stopped by the Supreme Court that is enforcing the Constitution and prohibiting the racial gerrymandering and discrimination their party is built on.
Senator Padilla.
Mr. Chairman, part of personal privilege.
Sure.
I feel personally aggrieved to sit here and to be lectured by my colleague from Texas. And this reminds me of the time when he was first elected to the Senate and the Judiciary Committee had a hearing on gun safety, and he felt a need to lecture Dianne Feinstein, who was a leader on gun safety legislation, and he took that opportunity to lecture Dianne Feinstein about gun safety and her leadership on the issue. And she said to him something along the lines of, I did not sit here on this committee for however many years she did, only to be lectured by you, and that is how I feel. So why don't you just stop lecturing the rest of us? Just because you think you are the smartest person in the world doesn't mean the rest of us agree to that, okay? Thank you.
Senator Hirono,
Senator,
I knew Dianne Feinstein. I served with Dianne Feinstein, and you're not Dianne Feinstein.
All right, Senator Padilla, we're done.
We're done here. Wow. Well, I was going to wrap it up, and I will. But I just wanted to tell you something that just came over the wires right now. It makes me sick to my stomach. And it is this. NASCAR driver Kyle Busch has died. He's only 41. And he'd been hospitalized with an ailment, a very serious illness. And he succumbed to that illness while in the hospital. Death announced by the Busch family. NASCAR, Richard Childress Racing, marked a sudden, staggering blow to the motorsports community. His team had indicated earlier that Busch had been hospitalized with a severe illness. He was in his 22nd full-time season with NASCAR, top division, where he won 2 Cup Series titles, 63 races, a figure that ranks 9th on the circuit's all-time win list. Wow. The Busch family, Richard Childress Racing, NASCAR made the following statement. On behalf of the Bush family, everyone at Richard Childress Racing and all of NASCAR are devastated to announce the sudden and tragic passing of Kyle Busch. Our entire NASCAR family is heartbroken. Now, I know some of you lefties out there, you might like motorsports. You go, all those NASCAR guys, you know. But this is a big one. This is not good. The entire NASCAR family heartbroken by the loss of Kyle Busch, a future Hall of Famer. He was a rare talent, comes along once in a generation. He was fierce, he was passionate, he was immensely skilled and cared deeply about the sport and fans. Throughout a career that spanned more than 2 decades, Kyle set records in National Series wins, won championships at NASCAR's highest level, fostered the next generation of drivers as an owner in the Truck Series. His sharp wit, competitive spirit sparked a deep emotional connection with race fans of every age, creating a proud and loyal Rowdy Nation. Our thoughts are with Samantha, Brexton, Lennox, Kyle and Samantha's parents, Kurt, and all of his Kyle's family, Richard and Judy Childress, and everybody at the Childress racing team. Wow. 41. Godspeed, Kyle Busch. Too much. That is just too much. Well, somber note. Monday's going to be another one because that's when we remember all of our loved ones who we pay attention to. We put up flags. We note that what they've done for our country. It's not Veterans Day, it is Memorial Day, however, and we stand up and we salute those people who have died in the name of their country. And this the year's 250th anniversary of the Independence Day as we grow nearer and nearer to that. Have a safe Memorial Day, and we'll see you back here next week, God willing. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this episode of the Adult in the Room podcast. We do not take you for granted. We appreciate every single person who tunes in every week to listen and watch this program. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday, live streaming on Rumble, and then on every other podcast platform shortly thereafter when we can port it over and get it over there as soon as we can. All the shows can be found at victoriataft.com, where the censorship regime has been banned by me. Follow me on social media at these names: Victoria Taft, the Adult in the Room podcast, and the Victoria Taft Show. Send media inquiries, or any others for that matter, to victoria@victoriataft.com. And here's a big ask. Would you please subscribe, share, like, comment, recommend, and give this program a 5-star rating where you can? We really appreciate it. We do not take that for granted either. Follow my work at, you guessed it, victoriataft.com. PJ Media, I write tons over there. Flamingo Audiobooks, and of course the radio. I don't do this alone. This show is produced and engineered by Overall Media. 1A Cast is responsible for some of the Adult in the Room podcast's imaging. Logo design by Hageman Creative. The Adult in the Room podcast is produced at Flamingo Road Studios. All rights reserved.